Welcome to episode 19 of A Podcast for All Seasons. This is Eric Joseph of DarkKnightNews.com, ComicBookMovie.com, and Multiverse Entertainment. And for the first time ever, I am doing the show without my co-host, Josh Mundy, who is on vacation right now. He is spending time with his wife and whatnot, but he should be back in the next episode. So if you've noticed that this is not on the Josh Mundy YouTube channel and you've subscribed to his channel, subscribe to mine, Eric Joseph, as well, and vice versa. Anyway, before I introduce our guests, last week we planned on doing an episode with Sarah Michelle returning, but she unfortunately had to cancel at the last minute. It's possible she might not even be able to do the show again until next year. I saw her put up a Facebook post recently, and she has a lot of bookings and film shootings up through the end of the year. I'll ask her to come back if she can, but it just might not be anytime soon. And another guest I've hinted at won't be appearing on the show until September at the earliest. But I tried to get today's guest at the last minute last week, but she wasn't able, but luckily she's here with us today for the third time joining us. When she's not having a zombie-free day, she's doing it for the cats. Welcome back, JL Anderson01.
Hello everyone, I'm JL Anderson01 of YouTube and all my other crap that I have, and that's right, hashtag do it for the cats. I love it. It is great to be back, and I don't sound as awkward, because I'm getting used to talking on mics, and also there's nobody here at my house, except for my cats. I'm doing it for them.
And I hope you didn't have any Mountain Dew before the episode.
Nope, I had Dr. Pepper, and I have some right here. Yeah.
Yeah, energetic was a mild way of describing you at my birthday party.
Oh, that was Mountain Dew and Oreo cake, sir.
Yeah.
I get really hyper. I can't explain myself. That's when I start babbling and I say random things. And once you get me on a subject, I gotta talk about it till there's nothing about it to speak of anymore. But that was some good old cake. Love cake.
And, of course, our topic today, well, our overall topic, new survival horror games, and we've had several announcements and leaks recently, and there seems to be some good stuff on the horizon, but the first thing we're going to talk about today, not necessarily a new game, but one that had me excited, and we have not had any Resident Evil announcement in so long. I mean, I imagine that Resident Evil 7 would have to be on the horizon soon. But Resident Evil HD was announced within the past month, and not much is known, and really we don't need too much to be known about it since it's an HD upgrade of the game that originally came out on GameCube in 2002 and was later ported to the Wii. But it especially excites me because the remake was my favorite Resident Evil game of all time, and I've said that on the show in the past. They have, kind of taken it apart and built it back up, and when you see the side-by-side screenshots, there is an improvement. You can see better textures on the costumes and the environments. Now, it's not going to look as sharp as, say Resident Evil 6 or what's coming, but it looks pretty damn close. I don't know if they're necessarily adding anything new to the game. I don't think that there would be, any new monster placements. I wouldn't rule out new costumes or something, but I mean, I haven't played the other HD upgrades they've done, such as RE4 and what was the other one they did? Code Veronica X. But I wouldn't doubt it if RE0 upgrades are on the horizon soon after. I I want that remake of Resident Evil 2, and I hope Darkside Chronicles is not the closest we'll ever get to it. I'm also kind of wondering if this is Capcom testing the waters to see how fans warm up to the old gameplay style. Before I turn it over to you, JL, I know that you have yet to finish the Resident Evil remake. You have the Wii version, and I cry every day that you do not finish the game because it's so spectacular, and I keep telling you about it. But yeah, what are your thoughts about this game finally coming to the HD format? Oh, and by the way, I'll just throw it in there that it's out for PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One, PC, and it's coming probably sometime early 2015. But your thoughts on REHD?
Okay, just because I didn't finish it doesn't mean I don't know Resident Evil HD or Resident Evil Remake. I've seen Let's Plays. I've seen one of my favorite Let's Players who's from Michigan, Lord of Ultima. He did a Let's Play of the Chris scenario of Resident Evil Remake, and that was actually pretty funny to watch. But I do know the story of Remake. I know the different item placements, new items, new rooms. I pretty much know all of it. And I am actually really excited for the HD port because I do have the Wii version. I'm actually looking for the GameCube version just because I like to collect everything because I'm weird. And I do agree that I think Capcom is testing the waters, like as you put it, to see how the newer fans of Resident Evil, probably like from 4 on, to see if they would enjoy the different gameplay style, the third-person camera angles, all crazy. And if this is actually quite successful, I can imagine them redoing Resident Evil 0, and maybe, just maybe, hopes and dreams, an HD remake of Outbreaks Files 1 and 2. That would actually be quite interesting. And I did play both the HD version, the re-releases of Code Veronica X and 4, when they said they were going to make it HD, they weren't kidding. The HD in Code Veronica X, at least, is actually really good. Because if anybody remembers the GameCube, PS1, and maybe even not PS1, PS2, goodness gracious, I'm scatterbrained today, but PS2, Dreamcast, GameCube, if you remember the gameplay of Code Veronica, it was quite dark. It was way too dark. I know that was one of the major complaints, and you had to turn the brightness all the way up. In the HD version, you don't really have to do that, so that's actually pretty cool. So they did improve the graphics of that. They improved the graphics of Resident Evil 4 drastically. I mean, it still wasn't the best like Resident Evil 6, but it was pretty damn good. So I can imagine the Resident Evil HD would be even more crisp. I can imagine that it will look almost like RE4. Because if you remember, the GameCube was actually pretty good in 2002. Those graphics for Resident Evil Remake were amazing. So it's just going to be further improvements. It's going to look awesome. I'm going to get it for PS3 because I don't have a PS4. Because I am with the old times. I'm still trying to look for a PS1 for goodness sake. Because I got a PS2 again.
Well, you can play the PS1 games on those. You just need a PS1 memory card.
I know, but I want it. I just want it, okay? I had 2 PS1s when I was little. We broke one because we played it so much, and then we got another one, and when my dad got the PS2, the PS1 went in my room, and when he got an Xbox, I got the PS2, so we didn't use my PS1 anymore, and we actually... I think we gave it to somebody, which I regret because, come on, it was a PS1. I actually was at an Army store and I saw a PS1 there for sale. I was like, I want this. But I wasn't allowed to get it.
Yeah, it's something I regret giving away. My grandpa had the Intellivision, one of the first gaming consoles, and he had a bunch of games. And when we moved out of the Detroit house, back in like 2002, we gave the Intellivision to the neighbors, and that's something I still regret. But I don't know if I mentioned, yeah, the screenshots shown so far for REHD have been for PS3 only, so I wonder if it's going to somehow look even sharper on the PS4 and Xbox One. But of course, if I get to play the game, maybe that's my motivation to finally get on Xbox Live. I'd be playing it on Xbox 360 for now. But the downside, there's a petition going to get a physical copy of the game in Europe and North America. I believe you posted a photo before on Facebook that Japan's getting a physical copy, right?
Yeah, it was from a Spanish article, so I couldn't really read it because I don't know Spanish. But for what I've seen, it said Biohazard on the PS3 case, and it was like a special edition where you can get like a Stars badge and maybe a pen-looking thing. I don't know. I try looking for these things. I'm on my Facebook. Let me see if I can. Gabitha. No, that was Riley. They're making noise. Two cats, Gabby and Riley. Gabitha is when she's bad, and Riley is really weird. Okay, where is it?
I
Okay.
just I want to get a physical version of this. I mean, that's why I would prefer, but when it seems like Capcom is one of the ones least willing to put out physical versions of their HD ports because Konami's done it with Silent Hill and Metal Gear. Ubisoft did it with Splinter Cell, and then Capcom did it with Devil May Cry, but they haven't done it with Resident Evil. And I'm thinking that if they didn't do it with RE4, which was such a popular game on multiple platforms, I'm just worried that they won't do it with the remake, you know? But they did release RE4 HD on PC, I believe, as a physical copy. At least I think they did, but I don't really follow PC gaming.
Alright. I don't know if you guys can see this. I put on a screen share, but this is on my Facebook page. It says HD limited edition. It's got the case and it's got a special little collector box, a notebook, a pen, and I want to say that's like a wristwatch strap or something. I don't know, but that's on my Facebook page. Can
Yeah,
you see it?
I can see it. It's just if it doesn't show up in our final product, just go to the JL Anderson 01 Facebook page, which I will link in the article of this on multiverseentertainment.wordpress.com. It looks like a pretty nice packaging, though. You should have seen the packaging they had for the Japanese version of Biohazard, the remake, when it came out in Japan. I believe it came in stuff. There was a guy who worked at a gaming store in the same mall I did at the time it came out, and I believe that's the edition he had. They also eventually came out with some nifty box set of the GameCube Resident Evil games. But yeah, RE4 for PC, one of the reasons I think they may have actually gone ahead with a release of that was because when RE4 originally came out on PC years ago, it was full of glitches.
Oh,
And
the Ultimate HD. Well, I don't know. Again, screen sharing. This is from the Facebook page I liked on Facebook, Stars of Raccoon City. That's the one that's in Spanish most of the time, but I just thought because they do post good pictures. Um, this looks like screenshots from the HD. I mean, look at Chris, still being Chris. I hate him. He needs to die. Resident Evil 7, make it happen. Again, I don't know if anybody could see
yeah,
it.
just look at the shine on those tiles. And if you can't see this, I'm sorry, but if it doesn't, like I said, if it doesn't show up in our final product, you can also go to the official Resident Evil Facebook page, and they've still probably got the stuff hanging around in one of their photo albums because that's how
Yeah,
we originally saw the news break. But yeah, you can definitely see better textures, you know, in the zombie and his rotting wounds, and the faces are a little more descriptive. Yeah, it's because that game had atmosphere in spades. It was definitely the Resident Evil that most put you on edge, in my opinion, and competed with Silent Hill scares wise. But
Yeah, Resident
just
Evil.
the Resident Evil remake, the graphics really contributed because it was just so much more photorealistic than anything at the time, and graphical upgrades just seems like such a simple thing, but even the retouchings I think will greatly help this game. But before we move on to other Resident Evil things, I was going to finish my thought about the PC version. I remember one of the glitches for the original PC version of RE4. I heard that sometimes the characters would be invisible.
That sounds hilarious. For what, the original PC RE4?
Yeah. In fact, the original PC version was released by Ubisoft, because at the time I don't think Capcom even had an interest in doing PC games anymore, because Ubisoft did the PC versions of RE4, Devil May Cry 3, and I believe Onimusha 3.
Oh, wait, that was another Capcom game. That was supposed to be a Resident Evil game, wasn't it? But they changed it to like a samurai thing.
Yeah, it was basically gonna be like a samurai Resident Evil, but yeah,
yes,
they decided to
kill
just
some
make
zombies with katanas. That'd be freaking awesome.
They still had the green herbs in there and everything.
Universal Capcom healing.
There was supposed to be an Onimusha movie years ago, and it was going to be directed by Christoph Gans, who did the first Silent Hill movie, and then it got killed by the writer's strike. But we'll move on to the next RE topic. We can't call it an announcement because it's a leak, but it's not a rumor because the leak was done by Xbox.com. And a similar thing happened earlier this year with the Xbox 360 port of Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. They accidentally posted a listing and details for it on Xbox.com and then took it down, but the port was real. It was download only, but it came out a few months later. And we heard rumors of this in recent months, but it's real. Resident Evil Revelations 2. The first, of course, was originally released on the Nintendo 3DS and PS Vita, and it got very good feedback from fans and was more akin to older Resident Evil games, though I think it was more in the style of RE4. But I think they did it was a download only no, I'm correcting myself. They did physical copies for it, but I believe you could download it as well. But they came out with it for PS3 and Xbox 360, and I've still yet to play the game, but I definitely have to get around to it now since there's going to be a sequel. But so far, all we've got is the box art, which said Biohazard Revelations 2, so it's, of course, likely the Japanese box art, and a screenshot of just a background, so we don't know what characters are in it. I don't think any story details have been leaked, but one of the reasons that they probably put the first Revelations on major consoles was just because of how poorly received Operation Raccoon City and RE6 were critically and financially, so they wanted something out there for the fans to actually enjoy. But what intrigues me is that this is assumedly coming before any type of RE7 will. Hopefully it's 2015 if they've leaked the box art this early.
Boom.
But the leaked box art was for Xbox 360, so we assume there'd be a PS3 version, but it remains to be seen if there's going to be a ported up version. Don't know why I said shirt. Ported up version for PS4 and Xbox One. But this is not the first time they've done a sequel to a spin-off, and while I have not played this in the timeline, Revelations took place before RE5, right?
It takes place right before the DLC Lost in Nightmares, which that was taking place right before the events of Resident Evil 5. So, I don't know, or maybe Revelations 2 would be maybe between 5 and 6. Maybe we can see, Claire. Who knows, she might be a
Yeah,
character.
let's start using characters that haven't appeared in a while.
But I have the screen share on, so again, I don't know if the audience, can see it, but the Biohazard Revelations 2 box art that is shown for Xbox 360, it kind of reminds me of a combination of Silent Hill and Resident Evil. Like, it has like a Silent Hill like writing to it at the top, but then there's that traditional Resident Evil eye. It's like a green eye, bloodshot. The skin looks charred and bloody. Again, that kind of reminds me of Silent Hill. So, who knows? Maybe it'll go to a little bit more scary approach, because I did play Revelations. That's the whole reason why I got a 3DS, because it was on 3DS. I didn't know it was on PS Vita, but who cares? I got a 3DS and I could play the other things that I like to play on there, like my Tamagotchi Life and my Pokemon X and Y and stuff like that, but I got it on PS3 as well. So that to me it wasn't scary. I'll admit it's set up kind of like Resident Evil 4. It's got that feel to it, but I didn't think of it as like super scary. There's some scary things, but most of it wasn't. So maybe because of this box art for Revelations 2, maybe there's some hope. Some scary hope.
Yeah, other spin-offs that have seen sequels in the past, of course, there were 4 Gun Survivor games, and the first one, which we got in America simply as Resident Evil Survivor, was
Mark Thompson!
Huh?
Mark Thompson! I actually really liked that game.
I don't think it was a perfect game, but it was definitely underrated. I think a lot of people gave it more shit than it deserved.
I like it more than 5.
Short, but it was fun to play, and the techno music you got out of nowhere in the movie theater, and how they just recolored Alfred Ashford's character model for Vincent. The kid with the rainbow baseball bat that broke into a full sprint for running like 3 inches to get between you and his sister. And we got to see a fully mutated Tyrant in the game, which was cool.
I liked Survivor.
And we got to see where they grew the Mr. X Tyrants, and we got multiple ones in the game. And if you were unfortunate enough to get pinned between 2 alligators from RE2, which I don't know how anyone survived. But yeah, the Survivor games, the first one was canonical with the series. Why? Because it was actually mentioned in the introduction of Resident Evil 0. And then Gun Survivor 2 was never released in America, only in Europe and Japan, and that was a first-person version of Code Veronica in a sense.
It was according to the Resident Evil wiki, it was a dream sequence that Claire has at the end of Code Veronica when she's in the plane with Chris. But I watched gameplay of this.
But why was Nemesis?
Yeah, that's what I was like, I can see Mr. X because Claire's seen Mr. X, but why is it just Nemesis?
And how about the cutscenes without voice actors?
Yeah, and then the really bad mistranslation for Steve, because they show the text, obviously, every time he calls Claire sis, and for us English-speaking citizens of the world, I don't know how to really put it, that seems really weird, because if you know Code Veronica, then you know that he had a thing for Claire. But if you actually look in the Japanese text, he called her Oni-chan, which is Japanese for big sister. But in Japan, when a younger male, since Steve is 2 years younger than Claire, or like a year and a half, she was older than him, when a younger male calls an older woman Oni-chan, as big sister, it means that he respects her and he likes her. So if you know Japanese culture, then it kind of makes sense. But with, again, it says sis, and it's really weird. They should have just said Claire or something, or my lady, or something like that. That was a weird It was a weird translation issue.
And then, of course, Survivor 3 was released in America under the title Dino Stalker, and of course it was a spin-off of Dino Crisis. And then the fourth one, which had the long-winded name in Japan of Biohazard Gun Survivor 4 Heroes Never Die, was released here as Resident Evil Dead Aim, a game I also thought was underrated and underappreciated. Granted, it didn't take long to play through, but I thought it was a pretty cool game for what it was. My best clear time was like 42 minutes. But
it's a short game.
If you look at the game, I think it was kind of experimental for what Resident Evil 4 became with the over-the-shoulder, even though when you went to shoot, it went to first person. But you've yet to play Dead Aim, right?
Yeah, I haven't played it yet. I'm trying to look for it, but people want like $100, and I'm like, ew.
When you do get to play it, notice the hunters in the game, when they dodge your bullets, they move exactly like Krauser did.
God damn it, Krauser, you haunt us everywhere!
But like I said, I think there were things they were using in it, and I think Dead Aim kind of was, in certain ways, prepping Capcom for stuff they used in what was the final version of RE4. And then, of course, we had that goofy Morpheus Duval who injected himself with, I believe it was the G virus or some kind of TG compound. He turned into a female tyrant with organic high heels. But Dead Aim was canonical until RE4 decided to wipe it from continuity, because as we know, RE4 went through several different builds, and it wiped Dead Aim and Gaiden from continuity, because Gaiden was originally supposed to be a prequel to, I believe, what's called the Fog build of RE4. And then, of course, Outbreak had a sequel in File 2, which I hated, and you've still yet to finish the original Outbreak, right?
No, because my sister hogs the TV because she gotta watch stupid YouTube videos of people playing Barbies of Anna and Elsa from Frozen.
Sounds like a good time to me.
What, her doing that? It's annoying because the girl doesn't know how to voice act. She gives them all the same exact voice. Like, oh, Elsa, oh, Anna. And it's like, God! I can make better voice acting.
Take your PS2 over a friend's house.
I actually did. I took it to my friend Joey, who's called Joe the Badgers, on YouTube, and I showed him a little bit of Outbreak. He sucked at it. He died like instantly in the bar. He was like, "How do I do this?"
Maybe the NPCs were distracting him. Hello, hello, hi, hello.
Nah. See, that's why I hope Resident Evil HD turns out really good, so we can get an HD remake of Zero, and maybe potentially get Outbreak 1 and 2 HD, and then with functional multiplayer. That would be awesome. It would sell really well for people who like that kind of stuff, I would think.
The downside of Outbreak, I wouldn't say I love the first one, but I liked it, and those load times were brutal. And as you know, I hated File 2, but one thing that hurted Outbreak was that it did not have offline co-op.
Yeah!
Capcom has always, sorry to interrupt, but Capcom has always danced around what we've always wanted in a Resident Evil game, because Outbreak could have been the Resident Evil experience we all wanted, was, playing through a zombie crisis with your buddies. And while I don't know if it's never been said outright, I always viewed the Outbreak games as canonical because, it lined up with the events of RE2 and 3 well, and you're pretty much playing as characters that weren't in the other games, and you interacted with Will Smith, and Nikolai put in an appearance toward the end of Outbreak, not to spoil much for you, but yeah, it seemed like it was there. And then when they did give us offline co-op, it was in games that were more like Call of Duty than actual Resident Evil, and then
Horrifying!
the the
I'm sorry, I had to tickle in my throat.
you're making me lose my train of thought. And then we got the Chronicles games, which were great and had some great fan service and filled in gaps story-wise, but they were on-rails shooters. So again, we didn't quite get the co-op experience that we've been wanting. But yeah, you've played through Revelations 1 in its entirety, right?
Most of it. I actually don't know where my 3DS version is, because that's the one I'm more far on. It got packed while we moved, and it's been almost a year, and I haven't found it, and I can't find it. It's quite sad. I can't even finish Pokemon Soul Silver because I don't know where it is. I have to settle a Pokemon Black.
So,
But I know most of the story, though. I
oh,
know how it ends. I'm not gonna spoil it because I'm not that type of person.
although I have yet to play the game, I do know some things about it, so I'm kind of thinking that it will have a similar RE4 / somewhat classic play style. I'm wondering if they would possibly bring back the T-Abyss virus or recurring characters to, truly make it Revelations 2. That's why I'm wondering if the Revelations might be an ongoing thing to tide fans over between, RE7 and wherever else the series goes.
Yeah. But if Revelations 2 exists, then I might get it. Have to finish Revelations myself and hope for the best. Maybe more fans will like it. Maybe we'll get something like that other nice rumored game that was claimed to be on the Capcom official site and then taken off. You know what I'm talking about. We were just discussing this before we went on the air.
Was that on the actual Capcom site? Because all I saw it on was just
It,
other sites, and it just seemed like an unfounded rumor to me.
according to a lot of things, it was a screenshot from the Capcom website for a day or something, and then it got took down. For those who don't know, I'm talking about Enhanced Veronica. Come on, a sequel to Code Veronica, that'd be amazing. I could see Steve coming back, and he's like a fucking asshole, and he's like mind controlled, and he's a tyrant, and you bring Claire back, and it would be great. It would be beautiful. Just random snippets of Alfred Ashford or something, just going, I am back, or something. That'd be great. Come on. I love Alfred. He's one of my favorites.
It's just the title sounded too fake to me, though. Enhanced Veronica really does sound like a fanfic or something, and I think when the title was first rumored, I made a joke about it, like it sounded like steroids or boner pills or something.
That's how Chris got his muscles for Resident Evil 5. It's that Enhanced Veronica.
Twice daily Enhanced Veronica. There's something else I was going to say about RE before we moved on, but it's,
Resident Evil is awesome! Boom! Print.
Yeah, but now it's coming to my mind. Yeah, I believe the Tokyo Game Show is in September, so perhaps we will possibly get announcements for Revelations 2 and or RE7. So we can only hope.
Capcom, if you're listening, Claire Redfield. Yes, Claire Redfield. Not the other one, just Claire, not Chris. Screw Chris. Unless you kill him, then it's okay. Bring Claire back. But don't kill her.
We need to see Claire, Rebecca, maybe Mary.
Billy Cohen?
That ever happened to Billy Cohen?
Yeah. Who else?
Yeah, because E3 and Gamescom have already gone by, and no Resident Evil.
Who else are we missing from this lovely trio? I don't know, but yeah. Billy, Rebecca, Barry, and Claire, we need them. Bring them back. Bring them back.
Yeah, they
Don't kill 'em.
teased us with Claire, Rebecca, and Barry and mercenary stuff.
That's a fun game. Mercenaries 3D for the 3DS was actually pretty fun. You know what? I think
Well,
they
they
should
did
make a
it
port
in
of
Resident
that.
Evil 5 Gold. Those characters were in mercenary modes, I believe. At least Rebecca and Barry were.
Yeah, they were, but not Claire. I think they should make Resident Evil Mercenaries 3D from the 3DS and port it to consoles. I think that'd be funny. That'd be great.
I don't think they would because that game was poorly received, and then there was some glitch that it would wipe all data you had saved on your 3DS.
Oh. A way to ruin my fun! You're such a meanie. First you burst the bubble of enhanced Veronica, now this. I'm gonna have to, like, snuggle my cat.
So I guess now we will shift over to one of the other biggest survival horror franchises, which we've also talked about in an episode with you before. We finally have a new Silent Hill game on the horizon. It's out in 2016 and it's called Silent Hills. And I don't believe that's just a working title. It was revealed via a playable teaser titled PT, which I think you can still play on maybe PSN, or I don't know if it's on Xbox Live, because I don't know if the game is going to be a PS4 exclusive or not, but should it be a PS4 exclusive, I think that decides what next-gen console I'm getting. But at the end of this teaser, by the way, they point out that the teaser itself has nothing to do with the finished product. It's probably going to be the same photorealism, same atmosphere and whatnot, but like I said, it's just a teaser. They wanted to make you pee in your pants, well, from excitement and scares that a new Silent Hill game was coming. I also did an article about this on comicbookmovie.com last week, under the editorial section, just my initial thoughts on Silent Hills. And it's being done by Hideo Kojima of Metal Gear Solid fame and filmmaker Guillermo del Toro, who's done the Hellboy films, Pacific Rim, etc. And it stars The Walking Dead's Norman Reedus, who, as a video game character, still can't wash his hair, apparently.
It's survival horror, man. Who has time to wash their hair when they're in Silent Hill, damn it?
Yeah, at the end of it, once you leave the house, the teaser takes place and you see the character walk down the street. He turns back to reveal it's Norman Reedus in the role, and then fog covers the town, and then that's when it said Silent Hills, and they play the original theme, Silent Hill by Akira Yamaoka from the first game, and that's no doubt just placeholder music because, of course, they haven't scored the game yet. The only thing they've said about the game so far is that the title Silent Hills means more scares. I'll take their word for it, and that it will be open world. Now, in a way, Silent Hill has kind of always been open world in a sense that in most games you could mostly freely explore areas of the town you were in. I mean, The Room was more fixed levels, and Downpour certainly opened it up more with the side quests, most of which I didn't complete. I just stuck to the main story. And just, I'll reiterate some of my thoughts I had in the article on Comic Book Movie for those who didn't read it. I'm very positive-minded about where this game could go, but I do have concerns. Hideo Kojima in the past has said he's not one for the horror genre, that he hadn't played any Silent Hill games, he had only watched the first movie. But I wouldn't doubt if he's done his homework on the series since taking on a project this big. He knows that it's one of Konami's marquee titles, that it has a rabid fan base, and I don't think he wants to let them down, though I heard that the Castlevania game he did was bad. So let's see, but I think he's going to more stick to gameplay, crafting a good experience, maybe putting some original touches in there like he's done in Metal Gear. Just don't give us 45-minute cutscenes. Silent Hill's always been a story-driven game, but it's thrived on subtlety. Guillermo del Toro is where I think the scares come in. He will come up with some very surreal environments, some interesting-looking creatures. Let's just keep it horror. I don't want it to be what Hellboy 2 was to Hellboy. In other words, I don't want elves in Silent Hill. And I've also speculated on the title Silent Hills being plural. Could just be a nifty title for the game. They've always just had the title singular Silent Hill before in the past. I also wonder if it could in fact be a reboot of the franchise. Silent Hills could be the name of the town. We've never had a reboot before. The closest we had was an alternate universe reimagining in Shattered Memories. We've seen them venture outside the town Silent Hill in the past with South Ashfield Heights in Silent Hill For the Room, and then Shepherd's Glen in Silent Hill Homecoming. But
Homecoming's messed up, man. It's messed up.
Both games did, visit Silent Hill proper at some point. But one thing I was wondering is, I've seen someone else speculated this on another website, but hey, I beat them to it first on Comic Book Movie. We normally think about it in the dimensions of the fog-covered town, kind of more the purgatory, and then the hellish otherworld with its rustic environments and more creatures and surrealism. But what if Silent Hills gives us more dimensions? You know what I mean? Like there are more realities to explore in this game. That's kind of what I've been wondering. I mean, we have a lot to speculate about between now and 2016, and I certainly think Tokyo Game Show was too early for a full trailer because they're just starting this. I think we'll probably get more information at E3 next year, but I've been babbling a little bit. What do you think about Silent Hills, and what do you expect?
Alright, first of all, fun fact! This is where my video game knowledge comes to. Did you know, and I learned this from Did You Know Gaming, which is on YouTube as well, when Pokemon Red and Blue first came out, or when they were first developing, if anybody knows Lavender Town, that town is a creepy ghost town, as there is a Pokemon graveyard and such. It was actually called Silent Hills, and they actually had to change the name because Silent Hill. They didn't want to get it confused and make parents not buy the game because the names of a town and a video game were similar with the survival horror thing. That was a little fun fact.
Was that the same one that caused suicides?
Lavender Town with the music, it's a creepypasta. It's not true, because I've listened to the music of the original Game Boy Japanese version. When they changed it to North America, they downed it a bit. They said the frequency gave kids headaches, which I can see. Then don't turn up your volume all the way. Just listen to the first minute to be like, okay, I'm done. I mean, Lavender Town for the remake, Fire Red and Leaf Green. I had Leaf Green. I thought it was good. It didn't bother me, but yeah. But that was a little fun little fact. Maybe they're bringing Silent Hills back. They're like, we're gonna steal from Pokemon now. Let's do it. Yeah.
Just imagine, the final boss is just a big demonic Pikachu.
Pikachu! Oh, it's so funny because I have a coworker at my job that I call him Pikachu or Pikachu Pants. It's great. Oh, I can't wait to say this at work. I'm going to work today, so maybe he'll be there. But anyway, Silent Hills, Norman Reedus, man. It's gonna be good. He's gonna be the protagonist. Hopefully it's better than Walking Dead Survival Instinct. Just saying. But anywho, what I'm looking forward to for Silent Hills, as you said, hills. It's plural. So maybe they are adding more dimensions, more to the town, maybe different backstories. Maybe it'll be about the Order again. I don't know, but when you say Silent Hills, it makes me think there's going to be more to it. It's not just going to be cut and paste from Silent Hill 1 and 3 to this game, or Silent Hill 2 and 4 to this game, or Homecoming to this game, or Downpour. I think they're going to try to make something new with it, like different realities, as you said. That would be quite interesting.
Yeah,
That is what I'm hoping for.
Malcolm McDowell as Leonard Wolf in Silent Hill Revelation, which was a film adaptation of Silent Hill 3. His quote echoes through my head when I first heard the title. There's more than one Silent Hill. Are you sure you've got the right one? I don't know if that's a verbatim quote, but you know what I'm getting at.
It's like I call him, hey, it's a Silent Hill. There's multiple Silent Hills. Like, you got the right one. And it's like John Smith. Like, you got the right John Smith. There's like 40 billion of them in the world.
Yeah, Silent Hill, though, speaking of final bosses, they've had some pretty grotesque and interesting final bosses in the series. That's one of the many things I love about it. I mean, Silent Hill 1, depending on how you behaved, you either got Alessa or the God, which was basically just your classic-looking Baphomet. But then 2, you had that very twisted version of Mary/Maria that was inverted and suspended and shot butterflies at you. And then 3, of course, you had the God again, and it had the Baphomet body, but with the head resembling Alessa, and this time it didn't have wings. And 4 was really interesting with that huge suspended version of Walter. I used to have a poster of that on my wall, by the way.
Nerd!
And then Homecoming, even though it was like supposed to be a nightmarish version of your brother, I found it interesting that Amnion was such a grotesque and original-looking boss, you had to admit.
That whole story of Homecoming was just messed up. You drown your little brother, you think he's alive, your family don't like you, they want to really actually kill you, and you kill the little brother that they wanted to keep, and all the children that were murdered by their parents for the Order so they don't get killed or whatever. Shepard's clan doesn't get wiped out by Silent Hill or something like that. Those monsters, like the girl that was choked, she became the asphyxia monster, which is asphyxiated, which means you can't breathe or lack of air. And that monster looked like human centipede, but with a bunch of like hands going up to like a throat. That was creepy.
Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned this on our Silent Hill episode we did back in March, but if we did, it doesn't really matter because that episode was months ago, and maybe some people didn't hear that episode. But yeah, you've still yet to finish Downpour, right?
Shut up! I've seen it. I've seen the Rat Brad play it. Okay, that's what convinced me to buy it. I just haven't finished it because I have to finish Last of Us. I have to finish a bunch of games, so please don't sass me. I mean, I just got Metal Gear Solid HD, which is like the second one, and Peace Walker or something like that.
And 3 is in there too.
3
is in there too.
Oh yeah. Well, I got that for my birthday, which was like in January, and I still haven't played it. And then I played Grand Theft Auto because I want to just kill some people. Which, ever since I started driving, I hate being behind a motorcycle because it makes me feel like Grand Theft Auto. I'm like, must resist. I can't murder people in real life because that would be really bad. That's bad. Murdering is bad in real life. Don't try this at home.
Anyway, before I make my point about Downpour, I will just say this is something we left out of the last episode, I think. Homecoming was originally intended to be the beginning of a trilogy, but I think since maybe it didn't do as well, I think it wasn't as cerebral of a story as other Silent Hill games, and it took a lot of visual cues from the movie, which is why people call it the movie game. But I just thought it was a solid video game, and it had great atmosphere. It was a great just Silent Hill experience all around. The combat was certainly a lot better than Downpour. I mean, some people thought it was too action-oriented for Silent Hill, but I thought it was just fine. But yeah, it was eventually going to be a trilogy of your little brother, Josh, I believe his name was
Who's
going
Josh?
to compete for control of Silent Hill with Alessa Gillespie. Now, I don't know how that works out logically, or because Alessa, you know, is now just Heather. But I think they said Heather was going to come back. But it's kind of interesting to see where that trilogy would have gone, because Homecoming, while it was very much its own game, you know, it eventually was going to tie into the storyline of 1, 3, and Origins with Alessa and Nicole. And the thing I was going to say about Downpour, yeah, the final boss, the Wheelman, that was some awesome surrealism. Downpour, I'm kind of thinking of buying it again eventually. I kind of regret selling it. Not the greatest game. The combat was pretty bad. I don't know how an axe can break on contact with flesh, but the surrealism, the storytelling, just it was a great Silent Hill story, which is kind of why I'm hoping that they still do a third movie based on Downpour, because the ending of Silent Hill Revelation leads right into a possible Downpour movie. And I think the book might have gotten delayed until next week, but IDW, who is publishing, they've published Silent Hill comics for about a decade now, just miniseries on and off. They're doing Silent Hill Downpour and story, and I think it takes place after Silent Hill Downpour, but also lets you know what she was up to during the game. So before we move on to talking about the next subject, any more thoughts you have on Silent Hills and maybe what I had to say about Homecoming and Downpour?
Alright, Silent Hills, I'm excited. My friend is excited too. She enjoys Silent Hill. Downpour is a game that she's been playing for a while now, but I'm excited. Homecoming, that's just a messed up game. Come on, that whole concept was messed up. It's just creepy. I like it. And I was playing through it, and I was playing it at night. The lights were off. That was a big mistake, because things happened. Things were said. That's just, no. Downpour is a good game. A lot of it reminds me, some of the gameplay parts remind me of Doctor Who. If, like, you're on that train thing in the Devil's Pit, and every time the light flashes, the mannequin things move, so it's like weeping angels. That, oh, don't blink. Don't blink. By the way, Capaldi, Saturday. That's gonna be great. Sorry, I was advertising Doctor Who, but there was also an enemy called a weeping bat that kills you when it gets near you. That reminds me of that too. But anyway, Silent Hills, I'm excited. You're excited. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna give them my money. It's gonna be good. There, I'm done.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be probably the best Silent Hill game we've received since the original batch from Team Silent, because they've all gone to other developmental houses, but I've only played like a half hour of Shattered Memories, and I really want to play the whole thing, but I don't know if you've played any of it. Sorry to keep ranting about Silent Hill before the next subject, but I've read the basics, you know, a summary and an analysis of Shattered Memories, and that definitely has the most mature Silent Hill story because it had themes of incest in it.
Ew.
So we're going to move on to the final game we'll talk about in this broadcast, which is The Evil Within, which I believe is out in October. You've got your copy pre-ordered. I will get it at some point, maybe Christmas or something, sometime before the end of the year. Original horror property. I don't know too much about it. I tried to do some boning up before we went on the air. But what makes this so exciting, not just that it's a new horror property, it's created by Shinji Mikami, the creator of Resident Evil. He left Capcom after he was really pissed that they ported Resident Evil 4 to PS2 because he did not want it on any console other than GameCube. And even though it had the separate ways and everything, technically, when you compare them side by side, the PS2 version, at least for Leon's game, was inferior to GameCube. They had to cut corners here and there to make it work on the hardware. But The Evil Within, just watching the trailers and reading up, it seems you're a detective who's been kidnapped and you wake up in this very strange world. It seems to have elements gameplay-wise of Resident Evil 4 before it turned into Call of Duty, because I still maintain Resident Evil 4, even though it shifted the paradigm of the series, still felt like Resident Evil. And it seems to have some surrealism of Silent Hill, so you don't know if this game has a supernatural touch to it, if you're hallucinating. It definitely looks to earn its mature rating. It also has survival aspects. You're keeping away from this huge guy with a chainsaw. There's a cat and mouse quality. It kind of reminds me of the Ustanok in RE6, but I wouldn't doubt The Evil Within will probably handle it way better than RE6 did. But anytime Shinji Mikami handled a Resident Evil game, it really counted for something, because he did the original for PlayStation 1, he did the remake for GameCube, and he did RE4. He served as producer on some of the earlier ones, but they weren't his vision, so to speak, because RE2, of course, which was one of the greats, was done by Hideki Kamiya, which he went on to give us, well, what was originally going to be Resident Evil 4, but became Devil May Cry. You know, he did Beautiful Joe, Bayonetta, Dragon Scale. It's kind of funny because Bayonetta and Dragon Scale look so much like Devil May Cry. But Hideki Kamiya is definitely another creative game developer. But Mikami always said, in his eyes, Code Veronica was the true Resident Evil 2, because that's what you wanted most out of a sequel. But yeah, The Evil Within just looks spectacular. Maybe I'm not as qualified to talk about it. I think an hour of gameplay footage just made its way online this week, but I haven't had the time to get around to seeing it. I mean, I've kept up with the trailers. I mean, you might be more qualified to talk about it than me, so tell our listeners a little bit about The Evil Within.
Okay, some of the visuals, amazing. Again, it is like a beautiful blend of Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Like some of the humanoid-looking creatures they showed look like zombies, but they're not zombies, I think. But it has like that feel to it, and yet all the blood looks like all rusty, so it kind of has that Silent Hill feel to it. I've not watched any new trailers lately, but the one I've seen on PS4, they showed the pursuer type monster, and it kind of reminded me of like a Pyramid Head and Nemesis type thing. So that's exciting. I pre-ordered my copy. By pre-order, I just put $5 down on it. I'm actually going to go back to GameStop and ask if there's a special edition of it and pay off that.
There's an art book coming out, too.
Yay! I love books of art.
I saw it. Go to, I believe a place I saw it for sure, go to IGN.com/comics. I think it's still one of the more recent articles on there.
But yeah, what I'm excited about The Evil Within, it is from the man that created Resident Evil. Is considered one of the fathers of survival horror. So, or how you put it earlier, since Alone in the Dark created the genre, Resident Evil perfected it in a way during that time. So I guess you could say he was the father of survival horror. And I'm happy that this kind of game can bring back survival horror onto consoles, because lately there hasn't been any good survival horror on consoles. I mean, you got Amnesia, Outlast on PC. you got those, but you don't really have anything for consoles
Yeah,
per
we've been
se.
press saying that this is the Resident Evil game we've been waiting for.
Yeah, we've been waiting this since 2005.
Yeah, that analogy that you referenced that I made before we went on the air, yeah, that's kind of like how Metal Gear created the stealth action genre and then Splinter Cell perfected it. But I give Metal Gear way more credit than I do Alone in the Dark. Have you yet to play that series?
For Alone in the Dark?
Yeah.
I actually have not. The only thing I've seen about it is the gameplay from that PS1 version that looked like bright colors and the camera angles that inspire like the Resident Evil camera angles, because people were talking again, did you know gaming, did you know Resident Evil, and did you know Resident Evil Part 2? They actually, I think in the first video they did mention Alone in the Dark and how it did inspire Resident Evil. And also there was a game that was only released in Japan. That's a Capcom game. It's something about a house. I don't remember the exact title, but the door loading screens is from that game, and that's what inspired Resident Evil. Huh?
Sweet Home?
Maybe. I'm not
Well,
one.
Sweet Home was an
Yeah.
NES game that
Yeah, it was that, I think.
it was made by Capcom, I believe, but it was a big inspiration for Resident Evil because it had the haunted house type theme, and then
The door loading
had a
screen.
limited inventory.
Yeah, but Evil Within, I think the way it is, I don't know how to explain it, but the way it's set up, it kind of reminds me of like a combination of maybe Resident Evil 1 and Silent Hill 1, because you got that protagonist that's in this situation, and he's like, I gotta figure out what to do. I mean, Chris and Jill had to figure out what to do in Resident Evil 1 to get out of the mansion, like solve all of Spencer's elaborate traps. I think he was a James Bond fan or something with all the spy movie stuff of traps to protect a single jewel that's used for another puzzle and crap like that. And with Harry in Silent Hill, how he has to figure out the puzzles of the town, the secrets of the town to find his daughter. I think it's going to be a mashup of great puzzles, great survival instincts to get out of the situation that this character is in The Evil Within. I think it's going to be a good combination.
And since we mentioned Alone in the Dark, even though we're not going to talk about it much,
I heard it sucks.
since I've played New Nightmare and then the one that was just called Alone in the Dark for Xbox 360, and I did not care for either. Especially the Xbox 360 game was just a completely terrible. I'm not even gonna. I could probably devote an entire episode of talking about how terrible that game was. In fact, when I sold the game to FYE, I told them to just destroy it and not let anyone else buy it. But yeah, a new Alone in the Dark game has been announced. I forgot what the subtitle is, but it's going to be out within the next few years. So if you're a masochistic fan of the series, you have something to look forward to.
Unlike me, I'm not looking forward to it.
But anyway, we're pretty much coming up on the hour here. Maybe I guess we'll take a minute to talk new comics since that's what we do at the end of episodes. I don't have much to talk about. I only picked up one book from the shop this week, which was Batman and Robin number 34, continuing the Robin Rises storyline. That was a fantastic installment. I recommend you pick it up because seems to be one of the more significant storylines coming up or happening right now in Batman titles, and completely free of what's going on in Batman and Batman Eternal. But DC Comics did send me a copy of the Multiversity #1 by Grant Morrison. I won't rant at length about it here, but It was a very good book. If you like Final Crisis, you should give it a try. I have a review up at darkknightnews.com, so check that out. I also included a video explaining the DC multiverse and a map to the multiverse, so just some added bonuses in there. You said yourself that you had not picked up comics as of late.
I picked up manga.
Yeah.
Japanese comic books. Yeah!
Probably, I'm surprised you're not caught up on The Flash, but if you want to give our readers some recent, recommend some of your recent reads, go ahead before we close out.
Alright. Recent manga reads that I've had, I just picked up the first issue of Sword Art Online of the Fairy Dance arc, which is when they're in Alphen Online. That's going to be fun to read. I also got issue 7 of Sailor Moon, Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon. Oh yeah. Again, Sailor Moon Crystal, by the way. It's actually really good. I personally like it. Full Metal Alchemist, can't wait for that to come out in September with the next 3-in-1, because then I can finally finish the anime of Brotherhood in Japanese and English. Also, I can't find issue 1 of Soul Eater. Please tell me where to get it, because I can't find it, and I want to read it, because Death the Kid is great. He has really bad OCD when it comes to symmetry. Everything has to be equal left and right, and it's really hilarious. He's like me, in a sense. Oh, what else did I get? Attack on Titan, issue 13 coming out this month. I think it's coming out next week. It's going to be great. Attack on Titan. I can't wait for season 2 of the anime to come out. It's going to be exciting. What else did I do with my life? I'm trying to, looking at my, and just for the hell of it, books, Divergent series. I read the books. They made me really mad at the very last book. If you know the third book, you know what I'm talking about. I'm upset. Good day. I'm really upset about it. I was like crying for an hour straight. I literally cried myself to sleep that night because that was such an intense moment. I just had to stop with my life for a minute. It was horrible. It was just so horrible. Okay, I'm done.
All right, that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. Any closing words for our listeners, and feel free to plug your pages once again.
All right, so I got my official Facebook fan page, JL Anderson01. Anderson spelled with an S-E-N, not an S-O-N. Some people have had trouble finding my stuff because they spell my name wrong. I have my YouTube channel. Again, JL Anderson01. That's right now trying to edit stuff for a co-op Let's Play that me and my friend Joey are doing, Joe the Badgers, of Resident Evil 5, and him and I playing through The Last of Us. So I'm trying to edit those together. But that's going to be hard because I'm going to school next week. Yay, education! That's going to be fun. I also got a Twitter page, JL Anderson01. And it's an underscore, because people steal my stuff, or I just try to steal their stuff, whatever, how it works. I also got a Tumblr. I even recently got an Instagram. So it's Twitter with pictures only, pretty much. That's fun. Do I have any other social media that I don't know about myself? No, that's pretty much it. Those are my pages. Yay!
All right. Well, thanks for coming on again. Yeah, a big reason we had her on is because Capcom keeps dragging their feet on a Resident Evil 7 announcement, and well, we'll still have you back on the show whenever Resident Evil 7 is actually announced, because we'll probably dedicate an episode to that. But with all these announcements for other RE titles and survival horror games, we just had to do an episode about those. But in the meantime, be sure to check out our blog page at multiverseentertainment.wordpress.com. The article this video will be included in will feature, I'll put at least one screenshot from Silent Hills and one from Resident Evil HD, just so people can have an idea of what we were talking about if they haven't seen it already. And be sure to like us at facebook.com/a podcast for all seasons. We will be back with, well, Josh and I at least will be back hopefully in a week or two. I would like to do a review episode devoted to Sin City: A Dame to Kill For. I plan on seeing it this weekend. Hopefully he will too. And we will have it, hopefully, at least the mystery guest I've been talking about in September. So thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you later.